Hello and welcome. We're talking today about pleas, not as in please and thank you, but as in pleas that are a response to the particulars of claim and a summons. It's an answer. And a lot of this also refers to answering affidavits, which are a response to a founding affidavit. A plea has to comply with Rules 18 in general, which also applies if you're drafting summons or most things. It's got to be divided into consecutively numbered paragraphs, each containing a distinct averment. What does that mean? It means each idea, each thing that you're saying should be in one separate paragraph. That's it. So you don't plead 20 things in one paragraph or even 3. You make a different paragraph for each thing that you're saying. At the same time, you don't put one idea into like 5 different paragraphs. You have one paragraph for one averment, one thing you're saying. It says it should contain a clear and concise statement of the material facts to be relied upon with sufficient particularity to enable the opposite party to reply thereto. So, clear and concise. Clear means it's not vague and embarrassing. You know what the person's saying. You know what they're saying. It's not ambiguous. It could be this, could be that. It's clear. And concise. Concise means it's short, as short as it can be to express that idea. You don't go on about all kinds of irrelevant things. It's got to be concise. And this applies to drafting summons as well, to everything basically. Also, the judge has only got so much time. If you can put your case in short amount of words, it's 10 times better than using many. Of the material facts. So what is the important facts, the relevant facts? That's what you want in your plea. Just like in your summons, you want facts. You're saying what the facts are. You're going to prove them later. If on the other hand it's an affidavit, answering affidavit, you've got to prove them now. You've got to attach documents that support your facts. But if you're drafting a plea or a summons, then the facts will be proved later. But you've got to state what you're going to prove later on. What are the facts? With sufficient particularity. So particularity means you've kind of got to be exact about what you're saying. You can't just say, yeah, the bank was negligent or the bank was unreasonable. You're going to say exactly what the bank did. That's particularity. And then they can respond to them. So if you say they were negligent by doing this, they were in breach of contract by doing this on this date at this time, then if you say that, then you've got something they can respond to. So what are the details? It's got to be particular. And when you respond to the bank, you've also got to be particular in your plea. And not contain evasive denials which would deal with the point of substance clearly. So if the bank says you defaulted on your bond, and you can't just say, no, I didn't. You've got to say, as you can see from the attached statement, my bond payments were up to date at that point. Do you see what I mean? So if you're going to deny something, you've got to say why. You've got to put your version. You're never in this kind of situation trying not to show your hand. You show your hand, because if you don't show your hand now, you're never going to get a chance to show it, because when we argue it in court, the other side's going to say, well, it's not in your papers, and we're going to not be able to argue it. So everything must be shown at this stage. There's other things in Rule 18. If there's a contract relied upon, you've got to say when, where, and by whom it was concluded, and if it was written, attach a copy. That's part of Rule 18. Rule 22.2, which relates to pleas, gives a complete range of answers that can be given. I'm getting a lot of this from Marnwick, by the way. I should give the appropriate reference, who's written a book on this. The defendant doesn't have to admit or deny a complete paragraph, so you can say that you admit this bit and not that bit. But you should, the main things you can do, the 4 things, is admit the allegation, deny the allegation, plead a confession or avoidance, which we've dealt with in previous lectures, or elect not to admit the material fact in the event of which it should be stated to what extent it is not admitted. And as well as that, you can plead the material fact on which the defendant relies. So you can plead your own facts. You can say these are the facts, and state any explanation or qualification of any denial that might be necessary. So you've got to explain things succinctly and clearly, but you've got to explain them. Now, a few things you can check on their papers to see if they're valid. First of all, is it apparent from the statement of claim that the court has jurisdiction? So are they coming in the right court? Now, in the High Court particularly, if you're talking about a property and the property's in the jurisdiction of the court, they don't need to necessarily say that the court has jurisdiction. In the Magistrates' Court, it's better to actually plead the jurisdiction explicitly. Say this court has jurisdiction and say why. Has the plaintiff set out sufficient facts to demonstrate locus standi? So have they got standing to bring this case against you? Have they proved it? And of course this comes into the issue of securitization. If they haven't, you can raise by special plea, which we'll talk about elsewhere, that they haven't, or by way of an exception. Has there been proper joinder? Is everybody that's affected by this case been joined? So can you say, well, there's other people here that have not been joined, because misjoinder can also stop the plea or delay things a bit at least, if that's what you want. Has the plaintiff pleaded all the material facts for a complete cause of action? We deal with causes of action elsewhere, but you've got to say, well, what is it? Is it breach of contract? What do you need to prove? What facts make up a cause of action of breach of contract or negligence? Have they pleaded everything that needs to be pleaded? Does the statement of claim contain scandalous, vexatious and irrelevant material? Scandalous and vexatious are basically not admitted because they're irrelevant. So is there anything in here that's irrelevant to the case? You know, in divorce cases you sometimes get this, oh well, this person did this or did that or did these terrible things, but it's not really relevant to divvying up the property usually. It's just there for spite. Does the statement of claim comply with the rules, in particularly Rule 18? I mean, if there's a contract, is the contract attached? If not, you can claim irregular proceedings with Rule 30. And do you have a counterclaim? Does the defendant have a counterclaim? So maybe the other side thinks that you owe them money, but then they owe you money as well for some reason, so you counterclaim against them. Or maybe they've breached the contract themselves. Or maybe they've also been negligent if they're claiming you've been negligent. So what's your counterclaim? And I think that's enough for now. We'll return to this subject at a later time.